This is going to be one of our first videos in 2022, simply because every year we talk about wanting to start the year healthy and lose weight and lose fat. So for once and for all, we're going to answer the question that is in every Asian person's mind every year is, does rice make you fat? And can you actually lose weight while eating rice? So if you think you're going to leave this video with a firm answer, unfortunately, you might not get it, simply because ingredients affect every person, each and every one of us, in very different ways. So whether or not rice will make you gain weight really depends on how you process ingredients. But in general, the answer to that question is no. Rice is a carbohydrate, and carbohydrates are a really important part to your macronutrient needs. But obviously, depending on what you adhere to, if you're low carb or if you're keto, again, depends on whether or not that diet is actually fit for you and actually works for you. We all have that friend that can eat whatever they want and stay skinny just because that's how their metabolism works. If that's you, great. If that's not you, then you're in the same boat as me, and you kind of have to watch what you eat. So the most important thing here is not necessarily the ingredient itself. It's the proportion and the portions in which you eat them. A couple of years ago, I got in trouble on Twitter when I did a little tweet about rice, and it was about rice portioning. And I think the tweet was misunderstood by people thinking I was demonizing rice, which I never did. All I said is that you might not want that second portion or that second serving, because at the end of the day, when it comes to weight loss and fat loss, it really does come down to the quantities you're eating and the portioning. So today I'm going to show you how you can actually still enjoy rice and ways you can kind of cheat yourself into thinking you're having a second portion of it, yet still being really healthy. I'm going to show you 3 things that I personally do at home that really help out in terms of just making you eat healthier. The first will show you how to get your white rice and just replace it and make it a powerhouse of nutrition. The second will be all about getting the same white rice and extending it to making it look like there's more than you actually have. And the third is how you can make your rice your main meal and not just the side dish. The Philippines is blessed because we have a huge variety of different kinds of rice that we can enjoy. Nowadays, the most common type of rice that people will eat is white rice. Not personally my favorite, simply because it's the most processed out of all the different types of rice that we have. If you go up into the mountain province or Cordilleras, you'll find really great varieties of some red rice, some purple rice, some black rice, and those usually contain more nutrients. So there's something of a cultural phenomenon in Korea, and I was listening to a podcast by David Chang where they say when you're young, you eat mostly white rice, and as you get older, you start adding a variety of different grains to your rice, simply because you want it to contain more nutrients, more vitamins, and basically be a better source of carbohydrates. So here in front of us, we have some white jasmine rice, we have some black rice, we have some red rice, we have some monggo, because yes, you can add beans to your rice, and we have some oatmeal. All we're gonna do is mix this together and then cook it. So we're just gonna do equal amounts. So I'm using some monggo here because it's something that you don't necessarily have to pre-soak while cooking, but various cultures around the world will use different kinds of beans that are available to them. If it is a bean that requires some soaking, make sure to pre-soak it before you add it to your mix. Now all we have to do is wash this, and then we can cook it. Our multigrain rice is cooked, and this for me is the most interesting in terms of what you're actually getting from our rice mix. So we have 1 cup versus 1 cup, and you'll see in the nutrition facts we're about to show you how different these 2 rices are. Let's give this a taste. We eat this at home a lot. There are actually some Korean and Chinese brands where the grains are already mixed, so you can enjoy it just straight out of the bag. But it's very easy, and it's actually cheaper if you make those mixes at home. Obviously, flavor-wise, extremely different. This one, you get some nuttiness, you get some earthiness from the monggo. You get different textures from the different grains. It's just so much healthier for you. Now that I've shown you rice within the same portioning, that can just be much healthier. The second problem we're gonna attack is how do you make your white rice seem like more than it is so that you're not tempted to have 2 to 3 cups of white rice per meal. This is the easiest way to add volume to your rice. And if you don't want to add much flavor to it, it's also a great way to do it. So basically, if you're looking for just more rice, you can add vegetables like cabbage, some cauliflower. If you want a bit more flavor, you can add some broccoli to it as well. You can even add some sweet potatoes in there. Obviously, that will change the texture quite a bit. But I find with cabbage and cauliflower, you actually retain the similar texture that you might keep looking for white rice. And cabbage actually smells quite pungent, and when you cook it, it does lose a lot of its flavor. It's not a very flavorful vegetable. So for example, if you're eating adobo, or if you're eating tinola, or any type of soup, and you want like a mound of white rice, what you can do is just cook your white rice with some cabbage. So we're just gonna cook that down a little bit of salt. It'll help draw out the moisture. We don't just want this to be wet. And then we're gonna add some rice to that. Very simple, but extremely effective. Once you've wicked off most of that moisture, go ahead and set this aside. I'm 100% sure there are people in the comment section saying that white rice with cabbage will not taste like white rice. 100% yes, you're adding something to it. It'll definitely taste different. If you're not interested in how to extend your white rice or in how to make it healthier for you without necessarily adding more portions of it, then maybe this is not the video for you. But if you are interested in eating healthy, this is a tip that I think you'll really enjoy. Let's give it a taste. White rice first. Taste of white rice. Cabbage and white rice. I'm not going to stand here and tell you it tastes exactly the same because it doesn't. But the primary flavor that you still get here is white rice. Comparatively, nutrition is fairly similar. Like cabbage does not add that much calories. But in terms of yield, we have 1 cup versus close to 4.5 cups of food of something that you can use as a side dish. Now, so if you have this as your 1 cup of rice side dish, with whatever ulam you're having, you have the added benefits of already having some vegetables in there that are not necessarily very high priced, and you'll get full much faster, and you'll be much happier for it. Like I mentioned, this is a great trick. You can add different types of vegetables, especially vegetables that don't have that much flavor when they're not seasoned or cooked with sauce. Now that we've tackled rice as a side dish, let's look at rice as a main course. Fried rice is probably one of my favorite things to eat, but I think a lot of people see fried rice as a side dish, but don't necessarily see it as a main dish that you can actually eat. When you start looking at it as a side dish, it's very easy to keep adding to it depending on how much protein and how much sauce you have right beside it. Whereas if you already mix it with a bunch of vegetables and proteins, you get a full, complete meal that you don't necessarily feel that you need to keep adding to. Also, because rice is primarily carbohydrates, you do feel extremely full at the point in which you're eating it, but an hour later, you're gonna be really hungry again, which is really weird. And that's because of the lack of fat and protein. So by making a really kind of complete protein-heavy fried rice, you get the rice that you want and the rice that you love, but you also get the added benefits of other macronutrients, which should keep you really full until the next meal. So I'm gonna make like a really protein-heavy fried rice with some chicken, some eggs, and a bunch of vegetables. So let's cook the chicken first. Take about 200 grams. After our proteins, let's cook all our veg. I'm gonna start off with the mushrooms, onions, and garlic. Just salt every step of the way. I'm just cooking everything in batches simply because I want to retain kind of texture, but if you want to cook everything at the same time in terms of the vegetables, feel free to do that as well. Once all your elements are cooked, now we can cook the rice. And to be fair, because I really do want to compare what this looks like at the end of the day, I'm just going to use 1 cup of red rice. So So this is not a fried rice video, but I mean, the best thing about fried rice is that it really does become a blank canvas to which you can just add a lot of different things that you really enjoy eating. So you want to just keep this at just salt and be extremely healthy, or if you want to add other things like maybe some coconut aminos, or some fish sauce, or some black pepper, or some sesame oil, or some sesame seeds. It really comes down to personal preference, and you can really make this yours. The way I see fried rice is kind of like the way I see salads. It's very easy for it to become a side dish, but if you add enough elements to it and if you make it hearty enough, both a salad and fried rice can become main dishes. And a lot of people tend to overeat when you have too much choices in front of you. Whereas if you have one dish, put in one portion in one bowl, and this is 1 cup of red rice, you'll see that you tend not to overeat because you're just eating what's in front of you. Clearly this is not a fair comparison, obviously, but it's just to show you that 1 cup of rice can be a whole meal. Let's try this. I mean, this is going to be beautiful and tasty, right? It feels and tastes like a complete meal. Like if I were to eat all of this, I'm 100% sure I'd be completely full. So there you have it. Those are just 3 ways that I like to eat rice, and how I like to extend rice, and how I like to add more health and nutrition to the rice that I do eat and still be able to enjoy it. These are just some of my tips and tricks. If you guys have any, please let us know in the comments below. This whole of January, we're going to be posting a lot of videos where we focus on healthy food and food that's better for you and very convenient to make at home. So if you have any other suggestions, let us know and we'll make sure to read your comments and reply to them, and hopefully good for food. Good talk.